Hello YouTube, welcome back to Assetto Corsa, and today I'm going to be reviewing the Porsche 962c. This is a Group C car that was evolved from the original Porsche 956, I believe. It was a 956 that it replaced, and it was also designed not just for Group C racing, but it was also designed to go around in one of the American championships. I believe it was the IMSA Championship, which was one of the American World Sports Car Championships, which the 956 could not, because it didn't comply with the regulations. So this was introduced instead. Looks very similar to the 956 in some ways, except it's got a longer wheelbase, and the back of the car's a bit longer, and obviously inside there's some differences for it to comply with regulations. So this car is in effect, it's just a car made so Porsche could go into extra racing. That's what it was. I mean, the 956 was 1981, and then this car was introduced in what, 1984? I think it was 1984. This car was produced, and they built 62 of these cars between 1984 and 1991, and of course many of you guys are going to be able to have a look. 16 of these were, by the way, owned by Porsche themselves, but you can see when you're looking in the replay box and looking at this car, we all know what this car is. This is a Group C beast. It looks a bit like the Mazda 787B in some ways. It looks a bit like the Mercedes, what is it, Mercedes C19s or whatever they are. It looks like those cars. You know what this car was designed to do. Now, what's really interesting about this is the specifications, because in Assetto Corsa this car has 700 bhp. It also says it has a top speed of 220 something miles an hour. Now, the problem is, when I've been looking up some information about this car, that doesn't seem to be necessarily accurate. Then again, the information about this car seems to be all over the place. So, even though that is what it is in Assetto Corsa, I have a feeling that it's supposed to have more. Now, if someone can correct me and everything on this, or find out why it has 700 bhp, I know the 1985 car produced 700 bhp in qualifying at the Le Mans race in 1985, but this car apparently has, or can have, 780 bhp. Same rev range though, at 8,200 rpm, and 710 newton meters of torque at 5,000 rpm. It can rev up to a maximum of 8,400 bhp. 8,400 rpm, 8,400 bhp. That's 8,400 bhp is something like what you get on a rail locomotive. That's a lot. 8,400 rpm is what it can rev up to. It has a boxer 6 engine. Of course, you're going to have the flat 6. This is what Porsche are known for. They're known for these flat 6 engines, and you can tell it sounds really good anyway. And it weighs 900 kilos. Now again, this is where things get a bit strange, because the 956 weighed 800 kilos. Now this one was apparently supposed to go up 50 kilos, so perhaps it weighs 850 kilos. However, some websites say it weighs 820 kilos. Some places say it weighs 850, some places say it weighs 900 kilos. Similarly, the top speed varies. Some say it's 217 miles an hour, which seems to be fairly accurate. Others say that it's 211 miles an hour. Some say it's 225 miles an hour. So there we go. Lots and lots of really interesting, weird specs for this car. Nevertheless, with the 5-speed manual gearbox bolted onto this boxer engine, and the way it is, the rear-wheel drive, single-plate clutch, full-on raw racing machine with proper racing. You're talking proper racing, and it's just, with all that put together, forget the top speed and how high it can go, or what the actual top speed is, or what the actual power is. This car is an absolute blast to drive. This is one of Porsche's greatest cars, hands down. And just to point out how great this car is, actually, you know what it is? You know what I think it is? I've got a feeling I've got a feeling that it may be different. I've got a feeling there may be different engines. That might be what it is. So the engine I'm looking at was a 3-litre engine, but I'm just thinking about this because they probably ran different engines in this. So you could have a 2.7-litre engine which produced X number, a 3-litre engine which produced X number, and probably a 2.4-litre engine or something which produced X number. So there you go. That's probably why it's got the different specs. So right, so we'll have to work out what it is. Anyway, forgetting about that for now, this car was absolutely incredible. Really, like, it won. The 962 won 21 races between 1985 and 1987. That's how, that's how competitive and that's how incredible it was. That is how incredible this car was. You're talking, I mean, the kind of races, if we're looking at the kind of races that it did win, the 962 in itself, I think, what was it? Actually, I'm not actually sure how many it won, but it was a lot. I mean, you're talking about Mugello, 1,000 kilometers. You're talking about Silver, 1,000 kilometers. Monza, 1,000 kilometers. Hockenheim, Mossport, Brands Hatch, Monza again the next year. Le Mans, the Le Mans 24 hours as well. Jerez, Spa, again Le Mans. I think it won 3 or 4 Le Mans races, didn't it? Daytona, 24 hours of Daytona, it won that as well. Road America won that as well. It won a lot of races. It was one of the most incredible cars ever built, and it's astounding. The car itself is astounding. So let's get into what it's like in Assetto Corsa. We've talked about how wonderful this car is in real life. Well, again, modeling, texturing, not an issue. Everything looks really nice. I love the inside of this car. It's so racy. It's a proper race car inside. You can actually see the turbo gate, turbo bar and turbo pressure over there. You can just see 1.5 bars. It's gone down to 0.2, 0.1. I'm looking away from it now, so you can't really see it. You've got the fuel gauge right in front of you as well. I've just switched on the light so you guys can see better. You've got the fuel gauge in front of you, just a simple Momo steering wheel, a couple of buttons for the radio and overtake to give you some more power, little Porsche emblem in the middle, tachometer. That's all you really need. You really don't need much more. You've got the boost controller there, you've got the display controller, you've got all these little things, but they're just so simple. Everything is so simple in this car and so effective. Now this car, moving on from that, texture wise it looks like a classic racing car, not just in the liveries that are supplied, but also in the terms of the materials that you can see inside, the way the materials look on the steering wheel, on the dashboard, the graining and stuff. It just looks like a proper race car, and I love it. I love that it looks like this. This is the kind of race cars, these are the best race cars around, or some of the best race cars around that I've ever known. That is my honest opinion, that these are some of the best race cars I have ever known, and they're incredible machines. This one does drink fuel quite a significant rate. Sounds wise, it sounds great inside, great outside, but again, one thing I feel that's missing with this car, and is missing with some of the other racing cars of this era, it doesn't sound as crazy as you'd hope. You'd think a car like this would sound really insane, but it just doesn't. It just doesn't sound that insane. It sounds loud, yes. Inside it sounds a bit crazy, but outside it sounds rather tame. It doesn't sound like it's just blasting by you or anything like that. And for that, I think it's just something Kunos do need to work on. They do need to work on this racing style, or the noises. They still need to work on the noises, getting the right noises in there. It's not bad. Again, it's not bad, but it's not absolutely 100% brilliant. But of course, physics is what matters the most. What is this car like to drive? Well, it's surprisingly easy to get going. It is actually surprisingly easy to get going, considering I've got 1.4 bar of boost. It's surprisingly easy to get going. Yes, you can make mistakes. Yes, this was my absolute first time, and as you can see, I've picked, what is it? I think I picked the long tail variant over the short tail. There are two variants available, which are, you know, give you slightly different performance, slightly different aerodynamics, and stuff like that. So, you know, nothing really much in it, but there are two nice variants to be able to mess around with. The car to drive is so good, but when you start putting your foot down in there, you do start feeling it's twitchy. The car, there you go, you can just see right there, the car is twitchy. You do have to work the wheel, but it's not working the wheel as in fighting the car. It's more like you just, it's like a wild horse, you know. It's like a stallion or something, or a thoroughbred. It's not a pony. A pony, you get on a pony and you just trot around everywhere. It doesn't go very fast, and you'll just trot around, and you know, everything's fine. Everything's fine with a pony. With a well-trained horse, you can go fast, but you always feel like you're in control. You're always totally in control. With a thoroughbred, a stallion, something like that, you feel like the horse you're in control, but if you let your focus waver, the horse is going to take over. You know, it's going to do what it wants to do. And that's exactly what this car feels like. You're in control. You're always in control. There's no doubt about that. You are always in control. But if you let your focus waver, you can just start feeling the car losing control. Yeah, as you can see there, it just didn't want to go down on that, so I didn't take it down there. I had to the car actually slid up, it understeered back up. But that happens, you know, you had to pick one or the other. Yeah, I was going too fast into that one. I thought I could make it, I couldn't. This car is like that. You have to remain focused to keep the car in control, because if you don't, it'll just start in the corners. You'll just start feeling a little bit of slip, a little bit of oversteer, and you need to be able to correct that immediately, otherwise this car is going to bite you and bite hard. The brakes on this car are really, really nice, absolutely fantastic braking. I think it's got incredible brakes, so you do have confidence there. Coming into the corners, absolute confidence. It's got grip, it's got downforce. You know, you want to drive this car fast. What is the downsides of this car? I don't know. I really don't know. It's such an enjoyable car to drive. I don't think there are that many downsides, if any. I'm just thinking, stiff suspension, very stiff suspension. You really don't want to go up riding the curbs too much. The flatter curbs are okay, but you don't want to ride any of the higher curbs in any which way, because it will start throwing you out. But apart from that, that's not really a downside. That's just a characteristic of the car being so low. It's an easy car to get used to. This is what, my second lap in it, and I'm already feeling very, very comfortable with the car. Still not going flat out, still not on the edge, but I felt very, very comfortable with the car in itself, and I felt like I could start taking a little bit more risk. It does have a slight tendency to understeer in the mid speeds, but again, that I'm sure that can be dialed out fairly easily. So I think that's going to bring me to the end of this review. It's a slightly longer review than normal, but this car just had so much to talk about. It was really enjoyable to drive. I've got to give this car, I would give this car 10 out of 10, but because I feel that the sound's just not quite there yet, I've got to knock it down a mark. It's a 9 out of 10. It's a 9 out of 10 for me, which is a shame, because this is honestly one of the greatest cars I've ever driven in Assetto Corsa. It's absolutely beautiful. So thank you very much for watching. Please remember to hit the like button if you like this video, subscribe to the channel for more videos on Assetto Corsa, leave a comment in the comments box below. It's more important now than ever to be leaving comments and likes due to YouTube's algorithm. I'll get into that another time, and please do let me know what you think of this car. I hope to see you guys in the next episode.